panelists who are joined here. And we have a significant experience among us in the field of both ports as well as in the field of stainless steel. And we'll try to merge both of them together and to come up to a conclusion that what is the realistic expectation that is coming out of this session. Is that we want to understand what kind of growth that we are expecting and where we can find applications of stainless steel that can really define that, yes, these are applications which are apt for their purpose and they are cost effective, or at least they are very, you can say, important for the purpose of keeping the national infrastructure intact for generations to come in. What we have observed is that the current infrastructure in the case of port as well as shipbuilding is under focus from the government, and government is doing significantly in order to promote it. Even in the recent last 1 month, government has sanctioned more than 20,000 CR to promote shipbuilding in India. And with that kind of investment coming in from the government side, we anticipate that a good amount of private participation will also come in order to particularly focus on both the ports, the near port infrastructure, as well as the shipbuilding side of things. So let me start the discussion. This is a post-lunch discussion, so I request everybody to pay a little attention towards us. Yeah. So I'll start the discussion with Mr. Asitarasu. That the first thing that we observe is that a lot of focus and emphasis from the government is coming on ports. And being associated with so many ports and being from the ministry itself, we want to understand that how the government is working to channelize this thing forward and what has been done so far, both in terms of the port as well as in terms of the near port infrastructure like SEZ or CRZs.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope it's very difficult after post-lunch session, so we can make out ki theatre kind of thing really gets into venue after post-lunch. I thought you're braving, all of you, so I thank you. I should go for really remaining and coming and joining us. I think as far as the port is concerned, which is been the very, in fact, I will try to go back in bit of a genesis. What exactly port has been doing globally and vis-a-vis in terms of locally. That is the two aspects we have to see when we talk about in terms of port. See, you see, first, if you take any economy across the world globally, it was port who has been harbinger for the development of the entire economy as a whole, whether in terms of taking the investment, whether in terms of creating the employment, or in terms of getting the entire geographical interland economic development of the entire society as a whole. So that way you can say the urbanization and the global port was very integral part of that, where of course obviously the blue economy and the steel also integral part of it. So I can say go back, first real development in the port became in almost centuries in fact. We had in fact pioneered out there one of the oldest port which we have in India, we had a Lodal, if you, some of them gentlemen will remain there, is almost time of Mohenjo-daro Harappa, where we had in fact steel also been seen, has been used it. And in fact that time, in fact that ships and the country courts have been carrying out all over. Even in Tamil Nadu also, Cheran, Cholan, Pandian has been using this there. So this was historically, we have been very, very strong. Actually, we have been really could have been one of them. At that point, of course, also we had a huge GDP growth, all that thing. Of course, that is keeping aside. But had we really learned from the things what we actually missed out, what we left out, till 2014, we have also got liberalization in 1990. I'm trying to be lengthening up since it has been very wrecking the pertinent contemporary question, which I need to address it. See, we have 2014 only, we have drawn a blue economy policy. We have really drawn out what is exactly the vision of the Indian in the sea sector, vision of the ports. There we lay down all the possibilities which were there. We almost spent from there, we planned to spend about not less 6 lakhs to 12 lakh crores in fact, that we call it Sagar Mala. Okay, but unfortunately, we never done that before that, in fact. So we had identified the major port. The ports were already there, operational, all underutilized capacity out there. We had 12 ports, and we had almost more than 200 ports odd. And today, if you see, just to make a comparative today, these ports which have been languishing almost not less than almost making 700 or odd million tons, today this combined together, of course, there are also private sector like Adani is also there, they are also equally contributing. We have got more 2,000 million tons of capacity which has been and been almost saturated up to 70 to 80% there. How it can happen? The question how, why it happened earlier, why it happened? Because of this policy and the drive. We had a wonderful, one of the Minister Nitin Gadkari, I should tell it there. He has really put the green card, like you have to either you perform or perish. You have, he set the KPI for each and every ports. He put the yardstick, this is a benchmark, we got to perform or you perish. So that means what? Then what happens slowly, we have, but the port is not only basically with the trade, at the same time it has to come from the real kind of the ecosystem, what you call it a coastal economic zone or you call it a special economic zone, even you can say industrial development center, the CFS, and all together. That's basically the backward entire integration comes together, making it happen in fact. Today we have in fact among SCZ one of the most successful, we almost identified 10,000 square feet, square acre area out there in there. We almost got more than 500 odd operational SCZ, 200 already operational SCZ. And these SCZs are really making huge sum of output. It must almost go, I got 70 to 7 lakh crores actually investment has come in that particular sector. And in fact, already more than 14 to 15 lakh people have been employed. That means one, if you had about 3 times more for indirect employment. And plus, of course, the overall turnover working out to be not less than 7 to 8 lakh crores on an annual. So why I'm trying to tell you, if the government policies are in place and government really observing it, putting into a kind of structure, obviously the outcomes happen. And it happened with the port and it happened with the port and port-related activities. So it's very pertinent. I think government taking it forward. I'm being the part of the government. I have been done it with the JNPSCZ. Now I'm also taking charge of 2 ports, Haldia Port, Kolkata Port. I see the future lies in the port, and it is going to be a gateway of the world, India, not of course beside the world.
Thank you, sir, for highlighting the potential that is present in the port sector. Now, coming to Mr. Reddy, the first question comes in is that we have seen a couple of marquee projects coming in the coastal areas, in the port areas. We have seen Pamban Bridge. We have seen a couple of rail overbridges where stainless steel is being used. So we are at a point where a couple of demonstration projects are already there. So whether that is going to be scaled up to a mass utilization in the next, say, 4 to 5 years period?
Yeah. Good evening, good afternoon to the team here. I consider this as an opportunity to interact with you all also and express the point which we have as a stainless steel raw metal manufacturer here. Thanks for the question. Here, we have to make it in 2 different parts here. As Sitarasu said, that we do have a good budgetary projects and it's all expansion in miles and bounds. And at the same time, we need to ensure the infrastructure which we are constructing is going to last for ages. At times, we do get information from the old bridge officers that this particular bridge has completed its age. Now, they are not responsible for it. That's such surprises, but still those bridges are standing even for 100+ years. So now with the technology and the product what we have, it is our duty to choose the right material for the right production. So when we have the right application and for the structural side and also on the concrete side, so which is visible and which do not. So by choosing this, we need to also alert the decision makers or the users to use appropriately where it is required. As for the question which you are raising, it's not only standalone or a certain example of projects, but yes, there are plenty of projects which is lined up, and fortunately we do have the understanding with railways as well as the government has issued the GO to use stainless steel for 30 kilometers from the coastline. This itself is a boosting information for all the project owners to invest right budget on the right application. So when we are doing it, chosen projects where we expect the life has to be 100 plus years, then material of choice should be stainless steel. So this way, as a manufacturer, we are definitely working. As a policymakers, there are plenty who's part of the policy making. And once all this there, unfortunately today we don't have the guidelines for the bridges in India. We have to follow the European codes or ASTM European or American codes. There it is clearly defined where to use, where not to use. So the policy is getting framed, and once it is done, then there is no looking back. When it comes to the Indian infrastructure, the projects are lined up. Yes, it is going to repeat it in many occasions. Coastal, we do have 11,000 kilometers, and across, it's all corrosion-prone area. So stainless steel has a huge potential to be considered as choice of material. That's going to happen for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy. Now coming to Mr. Nithani. So in the same context, what kind of traction that we are seeing? Because your company has been on the forefront of couple of projects where you have demonstrated certain applications or have been the front runner of bringing those applications. So how you see those applications coming into mass production or going into a standard way of utilization, the way we have seen presently in case of railways or in case of even the household construction? The stainless steel railing is now the go-to standard. The same way, whether stainless steel will become the go-to standard in the coastal construction?
Thank you for your question. Hello, everyone. You started with Pamban Bridge. Actually, I think Pamban Bridge has actually thrown a limelight on usage of stainless steel. However, in addition of that, there have been various projects now, like in Mumbai Harbour link. Over there, stainless steel rebars have been used, and there are various bridge projects where structural stainless steel has been used. So we think we are going in the right direction. The industry is going in the right direction. And also with the support of the policies, for example, North has come out with a policy that till 15 kilometers from the coastline, stainless steel rebar should be used. And in addition to that, as Reddy sir also mentioned regarding the 30-kilometer coastline guideline provided by railways. In addition to that as well, we have found even if the policies are not there, for example, in the coastal belt like Tamil Nadu and southern states where we are working extensively, there, even though the policies are not in place, even then the agencies are understanding the usage of stainless steel. They are they also want to reduce the corrosions that they are facing, and because of that, we are eyeing on certain projects that will be coming up. So, and you know, as even in previous panelists also mentioned, corrosion has a huge cost on GDP, like 2 to 5% of GDP is a corrosion cost that we bear annually, which is a preventable cost. So when we think from the preventable cost perspective, we should make the people aware, make the agencies aware, and kind of these forums should be organized more efficiently. And this kind of awareness will result in the conversion. As you rightly mentioned, there are various projects where we are working as a forerunner in bridges, infrastructure, and as we are talking about blue economy, it has huge potential. As sir also mentioned that there is a huge investment coming in ports which are directly exposed to the seawater. We hope that certain policies will also help over there.
Thank you. So now moving from ports a little bit into the water in the ships. So in case of ships, the government has announced recently that 4 new greenfield shipyards are going to be constructed in the next 6 years. And that will be boosting both the maintenance as well as construction of new ships that are going to come in. So my next question is to Mr. Sitarasu, that how we have evolved till now, because we are still doing the catching up game in the global ship manufacturing business. Though we are number 2 in terms of steel manufacturing, but still in terms of ship manufacturing, we are still far behind the global peers. So what can be done or what is in the pipeline that can help us in the shipbuilding side of things?
Yeah, very valid and pertinent one actually. This would have been asked 10 years back actually. So better late than never. So in fact, shipbuilding and ship repair was already there. We have one of the oldest organization which are working on to it. L&T was pioneered there, then followed by Hooghly Dock, which has also been manufacturing. So we got 4 or 5 companies always there. But we never had given that much a trust which there. In fact, as you rightly pointed out, for the marine shipbuilding, and we have almost allocated 25,000 crores, and along the 15,000 crores we are given for the next Coast Guard development route for the in terms of the financial support. So altogether, 40,000 crores, we have 40 to 50,000 crores. We have allocation has been made first time ever in the history for the development of the ship and the shipbuilding and ship repair altogether. So this is the one thing which we are of late we realized it, and accordingly we are taking it forward so that we are almost 2 to 3% globally. We are nowhere near it actually. All the ships which is there either built by the Chinese or in fact even built by the Korean, or that may in fact Korea Hyundai in fact Korean Hyundai has come to India. In fact they come to Trivandrum, I think Tuticorin, they have been there. They have already planned about 10,000 crores put the base out there. So it is not India alone, even global company also is started looking India as the next kind of a shipbuilding and ship repairing center. Now the question comes, what sort of policy, what sort of support system that each and every port can provide it in fact. So we have definitely done a lot of, in terms of Navy, has been pioneering out there, INS, they have developed it. So that is one part, because defense cannot be the commercial. We have to want to be globally balanced, we have to do economically in terms of the private sector group only. So that government taking forward, of course policy also seems to be in place. Now this company already started there, and as a port being part of it, ministry we started also allocating, we identify different centers, and shipbuilding in fact one of them already started in Kandla. I think they almost about 10, 15,000 crores they already planned to invest. Couple of them in fact is started there in Kolkata, Haldia. So now we are facilitating them to identify the land, and plus land and the support also basic infrastructure, connectivity, all these things also. Because it's huge. When you go up, talk about setting up a base for the ship and shipbuilding, is a humongous task, which actually we were not prepared earlier, very honestly. Now we are gearing it up. We started considering it, and we are getting response. Of course, is the time up? No, it will take another 4 to 5, 10 years down the line to see that we are reckoning that we have at least 10 to 15. We wanted to have a 10% market share by 2047, which I feel is doable in the course of time. I think we are on the job. So with the support of private sector, we'll be able to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So now coming to Mr. Reddy. Sir, what we have observed is that certain, you can say specialty tanker applications, there has been recent news about stainless steel hulled tankers going and are being ordered by most of the global companies, and they are going to either Chinese shipyards or other East Asian shipyards. So are Indian shipyards ready, or do we have the technology or the know-how of the correct, you can say, applications, the correct grades, that we can also start playing part in that part of the economy?
As far as the technology is concerned, it is only handling the material needs to be get educated. Otherwise, the methods, fabrication methods, and the facility availability is very much available. When it comes to the chemical tankers for the shipping, of course, a decade ago, it was predominantly operated by the Norwegian owners. Basically, the chemical tank shipping, the market is like the ship owners owns the business. So they are the one who is going to ask for the new tanks to be get installed in the ship, and then they carry from a point A to point B. It could be defined. So when we know the travel area where it is traveling, and depends on the sea water, because today it is, for stainless steel, chloride is biggest enemy. So when we know the defined route where the ships are traveling and what kind of chemical it has to carry, that depends on the corrosive nature, the right material is suggested. As you said, yes, China is taking up majority of the projects worldwide on the chemical tankers, but the Indian companies are not left behind. For example, the Cochin shipyard is very much well equipped and they are working in line with building new chemical tankers. Unfortunately, the support on the financial side when it comes to intercontinental work, as we discussed on the blue economy, so it's not supporting yet, but otherwise by now it would have been at least 4 big ships which is having the chemical tankers built in India. So it is not that far today when I consider the workshop which we had or having it today on welding. So welding is a critical matter, and the raw material suppliers are also need to support with the prefabrication, corrugation, and of course choosing the right material also. So with all this support from the raw material manufacturer and the welding fraternity, this is going to happen. But facility-wise, interest-wise, we are well prepared for it. It's only the matter of opportunity we getting aligned, and that will definitely work on it.
Okay, sir. Now coming to Mr. Nidani, what we are observing, what we have been observing is that in the case of passenger vessels, we are still in the traditional vessels usage area. There are very few examples where we can say that we are going into water metros or we are going to ro-ros, where there are applications with which stainless steel can come up with a huge, tremendous potential. So from your point of view, what has stopped it till now, and how we can change the things around, and how we can build the momentum that now onwards, if there are passenger ships being built, so there has to be significant application of stainless steel coming in those ships.
As you rightly mentioned, that we have been so far focusing on the conventional vessels, and in addition to 11,000 kilometers of our coastline, we have about 14,500 kilometers of our waterways, inland waterways. And now the policy that has set in, now blue economy vision that has come out, and in that a lot of impetus has been given to develop the inland waterways. So that's, I think that's a good move, and that will give a lot of push to develop the inland waterways. And also we have certain examples, and that has also started. Now in Kochi waterway, Kochi water metro, what we call it, such a beautiful example where 10 islands are getting connected by using about 23 ferries, and about 38 terminals are already developed, and they are giving the world-class experience, and that is widely being used as well, right? In Mumbai, as we are here in Mumbai, here also we have started some examples. In Gujarat, we have started some examples, and as a national waterway has been defined, National Waterway 1 from Ganga, Bhagirathi, Hooghly, so that portion is also getting developed. So I think things are taking shape, and with that, if we compare, but we are still long way to go when we compare that to global references, where we have London Thames River Clippers, or Norwegian ferries, or in Amsterdam we have ferries, hybrid ferries that also got replicated in Cochin. Similar kind of good experience to the customers, who are coming on board, and that will only happen when there will be a continuous modal connectivity. You come out of your ferry, you have a reachability to bus or train or whatever. So that continuity is also required, and I think with this policy coming out, things will happen. Now coming to stainless steel usage, it has application on both, on the port side, on the terminal side, as well as on the vessel. On the terminal side, if you will see, rebars is the first application that can come out, which is, we just talked about. Then in addition to that, there are deck fittings, there are mooring systems, there are a lot of equipment that comes on board, exposed to the harsh environment, that can be built of stainless steel. On the vessel, obviously, if it is hybrid vessel or modern vessel, it will be used for aesthetic purpose, handrail, propulsion machineries, as well as battery racks, and a lot of other application will come into picture. So I think, yes, we are on the right track, but a lot of government support is also required in this case. So like public-private partnership should also come on board, and then port structure should also get developed. And as I talked about connectivity, I think that will play a very critical role, and then the passengers should also come in. I think, yeah.
Staying on the part of shipping, so now we are seeing that a lot of changes are happening in terms of sustainability that is coming in the shipping industry. On the fuel part of things, we are looking at methanol, we are looking at ammonia as next alternative fuels. At the same time, the facilities for green hydrogen are starting to come up. And when we are looking at the next era of energy transportation, the clear winner is coming out in the form of green ammonia, which is where a lot of countries are building in their facilities. So now my question is to all the panelists, is that in case of hydrogen and green ammonia, which are coming up to be the next set of energy fuels, as well as in the next set of energy export opportunities, are we on the right path, or are we going to be there at time, and we should not come back 4 years down the line, coming back here that was an opportunity that could have been banked on the time? So, starting with Mr. Siddharth.
See, this again very difficult state, I'll tell you, because though we have been making policies about green hydrogen, green ammonia, globally it has really taken its off, but definitely in India is still a long way to go. We have done some sort of a practically applicable in terms of Reliance. In fact, some part of L&T also done it, but in terms of government, what we have done, we have laid down a policy, green hydrogen, green ammonia policy. In second phase, what we have done, actually we identified 2 leading ports out of 12 ports to give at least starting the, what we call it, electrolysis process, where we can really start creating that ecosystem for the getting the green hydrogen, green ammonia. For same thing, import consumption part, only the challenges is not in terms of 2 parts. One is really transporting it. Actually, we need huge hydrogenic kind of movement, which is very difficult. Kind of ships which India is not having, it's all mostly used by Sweden or Norway. They only taken charge as movements. Some of them in from China, but India is still not. Transportation mobility is a big challenge. Another challenge is out there, demand side. India has been given some sort of, ministry has given some demand, arised about 10 to 15 million tons, which is given for some of the private sector and partly to government also. We have set up the base of Kandla port, about 400-500 acres of land we allotted, and about 5-6 company already has done, Hygenco, Wellspun, Statcraft, 3-4 companies already taken the land, and we already allotted them the land, and they are started the what you call a trial and method is started. So similarly, they are also doing it. VOC also they allotted. So it's a very nascent stage. It will take time because they have to also see the globally how it is acceptable. Another one challenge which is there, it is not with confining to India, it's a global. Because there is a strong lobby that outside which use it already using the conventional energy. So they have also very much strongly against getting this, though it is the future, and we have also identified up to 50 million tons by 2047. But globally also the huge resistance from the existing conventional energy users. That challenge we got to really. They are studying the deterrent for it to getting this on a mass scale basis, which is unfortunately happened. So of course India is taking forward, maybe over a period of time we will be much better position. But we are on the job. We are doing it and we have done it also successfully. So we already set the ball rolling. Maybe 4 years, 5 years down the line, we will be able to edge because Prime Minister already committed by 2047, at least 10 million tons of green ammonia, green hydrogen will be on board. Thank you.
Now coming to Mr. Reddy. So you have been part of many firsts in terms of setting the standards or defining what needs to be done in case of stainless steel for those particular applications. So now we are again entering a new phase where hydrogen and green ammonia will play a significant role, both in terms of energy transport plus in terms of port-based facilities. So are we ready with Indian standards, or are we there, or we are still going to copy what Western standards are doing? Or yeah.
I split this question into 2. Yeah, the first question is the Indian policies. The policies for the manufacturing is largely missing even today. So we need to like what Mrs. Tarasu said, like we are having the infrastructure or the intent to trade the green hydrogen, the green fuel kind of thing. But the point is like, are we manufacturing enough of this alternative fuel in India and getting consumed within India? But yes, the policies are not made so rigorously in India to consume within India. But yes, in European country, if they're not following the right fuel, they'll be penalized. As you said, this is an opportunity for the Indian manufacturers to catch up and get the benefit out of this. Today, they are in need of green hydrogen and the green ammonia, and the suppliers are very few. And the worldwide, they are looking at India if we can support the manufacturing supplies. But here, when it comes to only manufacturing, that is enough. There are enough technology and people are exploring in the private sectors. But while transporting, it comes under the high pressure vessels. So the high pressure vessel technology is completely based on European standards again. Because when they receive, they need to use it in the right manner. So that is largely missing, and we are just following, as you said, the copy-paste kind of thing, but yes, at least we need to do that way. So that kind of activity is very much in place. We need to catch up a lot to, not to regret later that we missed the opportunity. Today, if we are gear up, and when 2047 comes, we are already there for ourselves. So this is in a trial period, or this is in a very initial stages kind of thing. We can prepare, do all set of experiments, make the policies to manufacture and transport this alternative fuel for the other world. And then when time comes, we are ready for the country.
Now, coming to the elephant in the room, whenever stainless steel is talked about, the first thing that comes into picture is the cost. And then comes the affordability part of things. So now, a question to Mr. Nithani, that whenever we are talking about stainless steel, and even in today's world, when we are looking at any infrastructure project, the first thing that comes into picture is the cost at the time of execution. And rarely at moments it goes to the point there where we calculate the life cycle cost or the cost of maintaining things. And when we look at the port side infrastructure, the possibility of doing maintenance later at some point in time when there is a failure is very less, and it's very difficult to change things once they are made. So how we are moving, first point is how we are moving as of now in terms of looking at life cycle instead of looking at just the initial capex in terms of the large infra projects that are coming in on the ports. The second part of thing is that how we can improve on those things, particularly both from educating the designers or the people who are responsible for conceptualizing the projects, to educating the end users that we have to look at the life cycle, not just the capex cost.
Actually, you have touched upon the right question. It is heart of the transition from a traditional approach to a future-based sustainable approach. And as you mentioned, it is the elephant in the room. So the second elephant in the room is life cycle costing, because the way right now industry is working is primarily based on the initial costing. But the need of the hour is to also look at the costing that is incurred at the whole life of the project. Because the same exchequer, same government agency will have to bear the initial cost as well as the maintenance cost, right? And also after that, the residual cost, the end of life value. So we have to now, and it's not that it's not happening now, based the kind of experience that we are getting, slowly people are adopting life cycle costing in various patterns. For example, Finance Ministry has come out with a circular, saying the life cycle costing may be used. That is also enough for certain agencies. The kind of person whom you are meeting, the person who is actually wanting to look at life cycle costing, the consultants are very supportive. They look at the costing from end to end, and then they suggest that stainless steel is better. We are getting such kind of experience also, but yeah, as you mentioned, life cycle costing should be, what we wish for is should be mandated, at least for the projects which are on the coastal line, which have a design lifespan of more than 30 years. At least for those projects, it should be mandated. And a life cycle methodology should also be drafted where you're talking about the uh, initial acquisition cost, you're talking about operational cost, maintenance and repair cost, environmental loss cost, and the kind of cost during repairs that we lose, the revenues, that kind of thing, and end of life value. When you put together, look at it, stainless steel will be viable and sometimes I think cheaper when we compare to the initial costing. So that's our take on that. And can you come back with the second portion of your question?
So right now we are at one level where there are certain recommendations and certain things are happening on the push basis. Like the industry is pushing, industry is advertising that by using these technologies, we can do things better. But whether we can convert it into a pull-based system where even the customer is demanding that, yes, we need stainless steel.
See, I'll not call push or pull here. It's application based. It's application based, and it is based on problem solving. We can't push stainless steel everywhere, and it should not be done that way. We should be solving a problem. For example, when we call for all the coastal belt, there is a problem of corrosion that we are solving. There is also a problem in certain bridges where concrete bridges will not be viable and then they have to move to stainless steel. There are various reasons because of approach spans are not proper, approach span should not be increased because of that. So there should be a problem that we will be solving rather than push and pull. I will not use the word push or pull. Rather than we should be looking at solving a problem, and corrosion for that matter is a big enough problem to solve, and that will be solved by not pushing but by doing a proper life cycle costing.
I just add to that, as we seen or heard, the cost of corrosion in India is 4% of our GDP. And we all know that this is preventable. How we can prevent this by choosing the right material there. So as Nathani says, like, we need to understand it's a push or pull addressing the corrosion. So when we address the corrosion, we need to choose the right material over there. And it's not only stainless steel as a material to be consumed, it should be known as an art. As in the initial you have said that, Pamban Bridge is one of a case. But again, the market, manufacturers or the trade should not be greedy to sell more stainless steel for unnecessary reasons. Stainless steel is to be used for a purpose of addressing the corrosion. So it is not for every project or every application kind of thing. Wherever we are addressing the corrosion, the cost comes into it, definitely. When we are replacing the carbon steel or in a very orthodox method kind of thing, when we are moving to a better material, the cost is always a debatable question. So when we have a technology like in the onshore, like when it is, a structure is in the sea, we know the sea water is more corrosive in nature, so it should be used selectively. The Eurocode 3 clearly says that stainless steel rebar to be used only the splash zone. 5 meter below the low tide, 5 meter above the high tide is called splash zone. If we use that, the entire bridge can be consuming only about 8 to 10% of steel in stainless steel. So that way, right technology is adopted when there are quotes available. We can complement the entire project by using stainless steel where it is required, not as in a whole bridge as it. Now, we spent 2,300 tons on Pamban Bridge, but the grade material which is used is not addressing the issue. It is still a just qualified stainless steel 409 grade. In such conditions, duplex is the right solution. We should be used that way. So similarly, in structurals, as I said, in the high altitude, we have severe temperature ranges. So when it comes to minus temperatures, we need to choose the right material over there. Or if it is in a coastal, marine, fortunately, railways is the only department in the country pushing or recommending stainless steel to be used, which is not the case with other PWD, MSRDC, or MMRDA. We were pushing, like, as you said, pushing is the right word, but as a manufacturer, we do say that. What is the right solution to do that? Whether it is a sea-link or, you have infra projects coming up in Mumbai region, the right material is not used. And it is a public money. Nobody is questioning on that. So choosing the right material with the right technology is most important. Blaming the suppliers, taking all advantage of only for the selling, they are doing it. No, I see that even the scientists, engineers, or the policy makers also plays a role here. The decision makers are confused today, whether it could be railways, RVNL, anybody, so they don't know what exactly to be done. So policy making is quite important. At the same time, it's using the right technology is important. So I mean, conclude on that point. We all know what is the problem, but how to catch the right solution is in our hands again. So we need to find the solution there.
I think I have to add it here because I think 3 times he made over the policy and the government a couple of times. I agree with that. Ki actually, what is reality is that ki we have so many policies made. Now we are in a trying to remove antiquated that policies. In fact, all those antiquated virtually. You talk any of the segment, any of the sectors. For example, if I can talk about line port, there is no industrial policy for the port. So either I have to depend on the state policy which is already there or central government policy or a port-led one policy which is not very clearly defining. Basically, it's defining about the basic traffic on the weather traffic. What you call minimum MGT, they call it, minimum guaranteed traffic. So entire focused and the diversion is on the basis of the how much traffic I am going to do it. But that is not, the industry will not be, today starting will not be adding to the traffic. It will come after 5 years only. So this is also contraventions which are there, which are rightly there. So there's a gap between the consumer, between the manufacturer, and with the government as a policy makers. Then the question comes, are we really trying to integrate? Yes. We are trying to get that mind. That is the reason the Niti Aayog is doing it. I think good job. Pricewater consultants really taking this forward actually. Something like which is making a comparison between the state to state. So these things are slowly there where they are actually educating. And we have got a bilateral kind of thing. You know, the center makes an act and they put the enabling clause, state to apply it. Center is a policy maker, not having the land, but the state is having the land. And that policy is the enabling clause which makes the policy. By the time the man comes to center, the manufacturer globally, I had a lot of experience which I can share, including one of the company, Foxconn, which came with the huge ambitions of spending $4 billion, lack of people employment. And they really slotted almost for 2 years, including from the top to down line. Ultimately, they fizzled out. They went to Sri City, Chennai. The reason being the gap of that. The manufacturer willing to put. There is a consumer. But the policy is already so antiquated, it's not making a new policy, but removing the antiquated policy, making good a new policy is a challenge. So we are doing that, in fact, to some extent, which Niti Aayog and others are doing it. We hope 70 years to maybe in a couple of more years we'll be in a better position to create that ecosystem to align entire supply chain, whether the consumer, with the manufacturer, align with the government, both in terms of center and the state.
So I have a follow-up question for Mr. Reddy. So even in yesterday's discussion when Mr. Sharma and Mr. Sherry were discussing things, so the point came up that how we can educate the end user about the right application and the right grade, because as of now, the designs that are being made are based on textbooks which were written 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And even the industry has moved forward in terms of the research that they have done, in terms of the new grades that they have come up with. So what can be done first on the point of educating the conceptualizers, the designers in terms of like, this is the correct application, this is the correct grade. And then second thing is getting that things embedded in our policies so that we end up using the correct materials, we end up using a material which can at some point in time bring us back the returns in terms of repeated usage and in terms of expanding the usage of both the grades as well as the latest technologies.
That's quite interesting. The question itself is having an answer into it. Like, say, for example, I give one straightaway answer. The rebar is talked so much on stainless steel. Until 2017, there was no standard in India for stainless steel rebar. If you read the standard 16651, you will find there is an annexure which is giving a clear guideline where to use which grade of stainless steel. It all depends on the corrosion resistance and the condition where it is. But as a user, they don't read the standard. As a designer, they ignore it. That is the practice which is happening today. But as technocrats, I don't say only the supplier or any service or designers or the service owners, the project owners. It is a wholesome. Only that is the reason I keep telling that policy is quite important. So for infrastructure, particularly the bridges kind of thing, we don't have the guidelines. It is in draft stage. It is getting done now. So when it is done, then it should be followed to the complete comma and full stop. Until that, we don't enforce it and we leave it to chance. Even in the GO, which I referred earlier, it says only stainless steel to be used up to 30 kilometers from the coast. They don't mention the corrosion ranking of the material to be used. But if you say, as I repeatedly, coming from the European company, the Euro code clearly advises marine, coastal, industrial, plain. It's all say that C1 to C5. In this region, you have to use the right grade of the material of stainless steel so that you are addressing the corrosion or environmental issues on that. So this kind of guidelines to be reached out to entire fraternity of the project owners, that is the only way. And as Siddharth says, that government is doing, or it's removing which is not required and pushing only the policies which is to be worked out on it. If that is enforced, like, helmet is compulsory for both driver and pillion, but how many follows that? If I consider my health is important, my life is important, I will follow it. Similarly, when the project owner is defined, he says that, yes, I have to do something for the nation, make the project alive for the years which is expanded, then the ownership goes on to them. It's not supplier, not the designers, it is the project owner or the decision makers has to take that ownership and then do it. Today, it is not accounted in that way. So that is where we largely missing the points in between. Information is available, tools are available, getting used, everybody wants to get benefit. The projects are aligned, the decision makers has to take up, the project owners has to bring all the technocrats onto the board and then do it. Because I have seen in many of the meetings, it is like, you are manufacturer, it is your idea, you keep aside. You are an end user, you don't know what to use, you be aside. So the academians are really good on the research side. I mean, you also into research. So research side, it is really good, but it should be a combined decision in one focus of serving the nation with the right intent. That is largely missing, which needs to be corrected. And I am hopeful that I am working in this industry for quite long and always putting, as you said, the first for many things. I'm continuously working on that, and similarly, there are plenty. Dr. Tanki is one on that, is raising alarm whenever the corrosion is an issue. So such kind of technocrats, experienced people come on board to suggest the project owners to use the right material for the right application. That is quite important, and we are doing in the right way. It is quite slow pace, but I'm sure we will reach there. 2047 is quite not that far, but we will reach there. That's for sure.
Coming to Mr. Nithani, yeah. So we have discussed a lot of points, starting from the current state of our infrastructure, going a couple of points in the shipbuilding, then coming to the point of regulations and the life cycle cost. Now, summing up the things, what are the, you can say, plus points that you are seeing in the future, and what are the points where we need to work upon in order to make it more easy for the end users, as well as it should be in the mind of the end user that these are the applications, these are the areas where it is both beneficial for the end users in terms of life cycle as well as in terms of manufacturers, that they can provide the right grade instead of providing the grades which are cost economical. We can move towards grades which are perfect for the application, apt for the application. So how do you see the way forward?
So starting from where we are. So where we are, the future looks bright. Why? Because first of all, the public spending is good right now. at least at the national level, and all the national funding project there are going on, because you need money to buy stainless steel, right? So that's good. Second is regarding the changing pattern. If you will see, we are seeing, yesterday my colleague also presented a slide. We started with very humbly with few projects, and right now we are at a good amount of projects which are coming up. So what we are saying is the curve is growing pretty fast. So adoption, it may not, because we are so big and we are working on various areas, uh, it, it may not look like that it's happening, but in bits and pieces, it has already started taking shape. And few, for infrastructure per se, if I'll talk about rebars and structural stainless steel as we have developed. And for that matter, as you mentioned, what should we do? R&D is one thing that we have to continue doing that, because at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to make the project viable. We just can't increase the cost. So for that matter, we have also done some R&D. We have replicated few codes which are globally available outside. And IRS 350 CR is one such one such grade that we have developed, which is viable for the project. It will not pinch hard to the project manager, as sir was saying. It will not pinch very hard to the project manager to adopt. And at the same time, they will also solve the problems of corrosion. They will also solve the problems of maintenance issue that they will face. So it's a mixed bag. Right now, the picture is getting clearer, and I think within a year or so, we will be much better off from where we are standing today.
Just a follow-up answer to that is like the having construction in place is not complete solution there. Wherever we are missing, it's largely missing on the communication. So like the stampede or even the bridges getting collapsed, it's all mere due to the communication. If something is constructed, it's meant for some purpose, and that purpose needs to be conveyed not just once. If the bridge is not suitable for carrying a certain tonnage, it should have a clear boarding and clear restrictions on it. So we're largely missing. It's like, of course, it's an open track where the train moves and we don't have gates. We lose lives. So the stampede happens. So because even the temples and all, it's not that the structure or infrastructure is missing largely and the policies are not there, but the communication is largely missing. If we improve on that in all aspects, whether the material is available, the design is available, or the technology is available, so it needs to have, I mean, that's what my saying is, that communication is controlled in a right manner and communicated to the last leg, most of the problem will be solved. That's my add-on to this.
Yeah, I'll just add on a bit on that, which I couldn't complete. Another thing that we have to do or we should do is awareness. Awareness of consultants, all the stakeholders in this entire equation. The stakeholders are consultants, starting with them, agencies, and the government bodies who are policymakers. But more importantly, what I've seen is consultants are the key, which are actually the brain, right? They are brain behind the project. And if they are convinced, so they also know how to convince the agencies. So that's something that we have to, and the onus is on us to make people aware, because as I also mentioned, we are doing a lot of R&Ds, we are creating the grade, so it's our duty to make the consultants aware that this is available. Even yesterday, someone in the panel mentioned the same thing, that you should have told us that this grade is available. I would have loved to use it in my project. So that is also a missing gap, and I think these kind of forums allow us to share the information, disseminate it, and it's also our responsibilities to create more such awareness program individually as well.
Coming to Mr. Sita, sir, what we have observed till now, or we have talked about, is that there are certain pockets where policy is already there. New things are coming up in the next 4 to 5 years. So at this juncture, how the industry can come up, and how the industry can come up at the right point in time to support, you can say, the ports, the shipbuilders, to come up with the right policy at the developing stage itself, so that we do not go back, or we do not wait for another, you can say 5 years, 10 years, and then start following the things. So what can be done right now at this moment?
There should not be any policy, very honestly. No, you see, I am from the sector which I've been always talking against it, but the point is that I will tell you one example. I think I was discussing with you. IT has grown in India when there was no IT minister. I think most of them knowing that. STPI came only in 2000. By the time Mr. Kohli, Mr. Nayan Murthy all went to USA, they made their base out there. But Mr. Mahajan came for the first IT minister when the IT started flourishing. So when there was no policy, the India grew into sizes, IT. Of course, we made a lot of service after that. That's the one point, which is, I feel, there. So there should not, but having said that, now the consciousness has really increased. The government really felt we have missed lot of buses. Let's not lose any more. So that's the reason they are keeping, at least updating it. As I was telling you, there was antiquity. Now they started rebuilding on policy, reforming it, getting it down the line, putting it straight, making the people, those in the helm of the affairs, to implement it, act it. That is what the next government really doing it. I hope we have not lost it. Nothing has lost as such. We have definitely made a move. If you see, today if you go to all the sectors, you go to whether the airport or the railways, you may be seeing visible things which are happening out there. Things have changed a lot. And of course, there are a lot of things to be done, particularly the port sector, because this was the one sector which was always languishing over a period of time. So now we have put lot of put into structure. I think we are now started competing with the particular container ports and all which we are having it. JNPT happens to one of the best port in the world. There's almost 60, 70 million tons of transporting there, in fact. So you should go to the ecosystem what we developed. I think Para is one of the best infrastructure connectivity that we developed over just a span of only less than 5 to 6 years. So these things are happening when you go down, because a lot of things we may be knowing it, maybe knowing here about, but unless you don't go and see it across the board, you will not realize it. Things have been changing a lot, in fact, whether it is in terms of, besides GDP and what talking the best of the trillion economy, ground is the reality. Now, thing is that the task, you got to do it. Now the question comes to how fast, how soon. That is the question, but things are happening. Previously it was not there. Nobody talks, nobody is accountable, own time. Of course, besides, I will not get into all corruption, all the things, but things are happening. But having said that, I tell my team always, one quote which I will always tell to my team, which I would like to share with you. This very old quote, I think almost 5,000-year quote. It was quoted by Thiruvalluvar from South. He says, where there is righteousness in heart, I tell my colleagues, where there is righteousness in heart, there is beauty in character. Where there is beauty in character, there is harmony in the home. And where there is harmony in the home, where is order in the nation? You must knowing it. Where there is order in the nation, there is peace in the world. So we have to have it from the home. Charity always begins up. So we are into it. It's only a matter of time. With that note, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Now we can take up a couple of questions from the audience.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
The failure of men, materials and machines are not a very welcome things. Any failure is not desirable.
Sir, you have to be a little louder.
Any failure is not desirable, whether it is man, machine, or whatever it may be. Now let us come to the question of steels which are used in shipbuilding. You see, the type of steel, I don't remember exactly the number, ISO 2000 something, which is a very steel which has got a higher strength to yield strength to UTS ratio of 0.8, means it is a very brittle steel, you know. Now when you are using these steels for shipbuilding, you are always prone to some sort of a problem. So American Bureau of Shipping, they design on the basis of defect tolerant. Whereas in India, we still use, simply ductile brittle transition temperature. And, we say that at some temperature, the desirable toughness should be 25 joules, kilojoules or something like that. So what we need to change is the design philosophy first. We must know that nothing is going to last for long. As Mr. Rao said, failures cannot be prevented. If we use the current technology, you can prevent 1/3 of the failure. If you do research, you can prevent another 1/3. And 1/3 you cannot do, you will have to do innovation. So what I mean to say is that there must be some sort of a cooperation between the researchers and all these industries, together. Right type of people should be given right type of job, so
Yes,
that they can carry out it effectively.
So any questions?
No, questions cannot be there because there is no question in these things.
Sure,
Only
sir.
I mean, you are not designing your steel, like Indian Registrar of Shipping is there. So they are the recommending body. So you are not aware of even that how this, they are interfering into that, We are propagating one thing that you use stainless steel, but you cannot make a ocean-going ship, of a stainless steel, isn't it?
Okay,
So,
thank you, sir.
So even what are the improvements that you can bring, industry should try to, like in these forums, they can discuss and then, improvements can be brought out.
Sir, I think we got into that. Just 2 minutes, I'll take it. I can tell you, as far as the government concerned, we have already inducted all the IITs. IIT Chennai is very closely working with us. IIT Roorkee, IIM Kolkata. We are started taking actually as a strategic director in the government. There are full-fledged officers who have been inducted from the IIT and IIM to guide to all these offices which are operational there. So we are doing a great, I think we have changed our mindset. So these are people like you or the professor who are putting, you are really put the things on the card. So we are really driving it actually. It's only a matter of time and things are really structuring out. Of course, we have a long mindset. That is only big bottleneck. But brick and mortar, yes, there is things are happening.
The government is spending a lot of money on defense labs,
We have a lot of money,
Defense
sir.
lab,
We have enough money.
So, but
Everything.
are we getting real benefit out of that? That is the thing, after all, it's a taxpayers' money, So, I mean, giving project to somebody and getting nothing out of that is a very undesirable thing.